Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
How are you this evening?
Good to see you again. Doing well, thank you, sir.
Another night of living the dream, eh?
Hello, Mr. Lowe.
Hello, sorry about being late.
No worries, no worries.
You're only late if you think you are.
Noted, sir.
Hi, Ken.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good to see you again.
Seeing you too.
Last time we all saw each other was back in early December.
That's right. It's a whole year ago.
Saw you last year, that's right.
That's right.
Mr. Liu, I think I let Chief Silva come in like 2 minutes ago.
Oh, I see. He's probably in the... oh, there he is. Okay, he's in the other window there. Sorry.
Hello, everyone.
How are you doing? Good to
Hi,
see you.
Chief.
Very well, thank you.
I feel kind of rusty. We haven't done this since December. So anyway, since we've got a majority of people here, perhaps we could have everyone go around the room really quickly, just briefly introduce yourself so that as our special guest has already arrived as well from Tirana. And so I'll just kind of go from the top of the screen who I see. Superintendent Farhang Ahadzadeh, you're up first.
I'm Farhang Ahadzadeh and I'm Divisional Superintendent for Adult Division based here in Burnaby, BC. It's great to see and meet everybody, and a special thanks to Chief Silva for his time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ahadzadeh. Mr. Vincent Liu.
Hi, this is Vincent Liu. I belong to Category 89. I'm a CSC and the Logistic Officer. Nice to meet everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. Ms. Huang and Ms. Ho are dynamic duo there.
Hi, good evening, everyone. My name is Eva. I'm the officer. I hope everyone is
Good evening, everyone. I'm the divisional training officer for Division 39 at Burnaby here. Nice to see everyone tonight here.
Thank you, Ms. Ho. Thank you, Ms. Huang. Commissioner Valentine, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Greetings, Chief. It's good to have you here in BC, even though it's virtual. I suspect that in a couple of days you're going to want to be here instead of there. As you can see, I'm someplace else where I'd like to be, but only in my mind. Burnaby Group, good to see you all again. Ken, Jane, Melody, Leanne, welcome.
Thank you, sir. Up next is Leanne.
Hi, Leanne speaking from St. John Ambulance, and I'm with the strategic partners here in Vancouver. So really excited to hear your journey, Chief Silva, and looking forward to a good night. So thank you.
Thanks, Leanne. Corporal Yip.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Corporal Anna Yip. Looking forward to the presentation today.
Thanks, Corporal Yip. Ken Leggatt.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ken Leggatt, the interim CEO of St. John Ambulance BC Yukon. It's great to see everyone tonight, and really looking forward to hearing from Chief Elvis Silva. It's going to be a great evening.
Thanks, Ken. Rahul.
Hi everyone, my name is Rahul. I work with St. John Ambulance BC and Yukon at the Community Services and Fund Development. So I'm here to learn more about the brigade, as I've been with SJA since March of 2020.
Thanks, Rahul. And it's Chief Silva. You can keep it very short because we'll be hearing from you.
A lot of people actually tell me to always keep it shorter. Thank you very much for having me here. Chief Elvis Silva from St. John Ambulance, Toronto. I appreciate the invite. This is going to be a great evening, and it's great to see all of you guys. So thank you for having me as your guest.
Awesome. Thank you, Chief Silva. I see Mr. Lowe.
Evening, Chief Silva. Welcome to the West Coast virtually. I'm the NCO Development Officer at Division 389.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. I see Ms. Froment.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Celine Froment. I'm the Area Administration Officer for British Columbia Lower Mainland. Very glad to be here. Thanks again, Cadet or Division 389, for organizing another speaker. I'm looking forward to the talk. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Froment. I see Corporal Jelima.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Corporal Jelima, and it's very nice to see you all tonight.
Thank you, Corporal Ma. Melody Jacobson, welcome back.
Well, thanks for having me, and Happy New Year to everybody. It's wonderful to see this again. I work in community services with the rest of the team, and really looking forward to the talk.
Thanks, Melody. Hello, Jane Short again. Hi.
Hello, everyone. It's really nice to see everybody again in 2021. I am Jane Short. I am the Director of Community Services, and I'm really looking forward to the presentation this evening. So, Happy New Year, everybody. Good to see you all again.
Likewise. Thank you, Jane. Corporal Chen.
Hi, everyone. I am Corporal Carmen Chen from Division 389. Chief Silva, thank you for joining us. It's great that you're here, and I'm very excited to know more about you. Thank you.
Thank you, Corporal Chen. Patricia Robinson.
Hi, I'm Trish Robinson from 640 North Shore Division. I'm the Division Admin Officer. Thank you for having this opportunity to join you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Trish. Great to have you here, too. Hello to the North Shore. I see Keto Lamb.
Yes, hi, sir. My name is Keto, Sergeant Keto Lamb. I'm one of the sergeants working with Chief Silva. Great to see you, Elvis. And yeah, I'm from St. John, Toronto. It's great to see you guys. I just wanted to hop in, say hello to everyone, and also support Elvis here as he speaks today. Thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here, Sergeant Lamb, and hello to Toronto.
Thank you, thank you.
I see Gabby Kwan.
Everyone, I'm Gabby Kwan. I'm part of the Provincial Cadet team and part of supporting all the cadet divisions in the Lower Mainland.
Thank you, Ms. Kwan. I see Corporal Butler.
Hey, everyone. I'm Corporal Butler from Division 389. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Chief Silva has to say tonight.
Thank you, Corporal Butler. And last but not least, I see Superintendent Raymond Chow.
Happy New Year, everyone. Glad to see everybody here. I'm honored to be in the presence of Chief Silva. And yeah, it's going to be a great evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chow. All right, well, here we go. Before we kick things off, I'd like to take this opportunity to take a virtual group photo. So please keep smiling for a moment because I have a couple of screens to flip through here. So just give me a second here. Just look at your cameras and smile. 3, 2, 1. Excellent. Okay, so thank you. Let's begin the official program. Mr. Ahadzadeh.
Good evening and welcome back to our speaker suits. I hope you are all staying well. I'm Ahadzadeh, Divisional Superintendent for Adult Division 304, based here in Burnaby, BC. Before we begin, I invite the officers to keep their headdress on, remain seated, and everyone to please keep your mics muted, especially when our special guest from Toronto is speaking. If you have any questions, please raise your digital hand. Thank you. I would like to now invite Mr. Richard N. Liu, our Honorary Brigade Division President, to say a few words.
Thank you, Mr. Ahadzadeh. If you haven't seen our previous events, you can find them all on our growing YouTube channel. Remember to click on the subscribe button down here and hit that bell to be notified up here when we post new videos. Before we begin, I would like to acknowledge and recognize that our division is proudly based here in this diverse city of Burnaby, which is located on the ancestral and unceded homelands of the Coast Salish. We are grateful for the opportunity to present the speaker series on this shared territory tonight. Mr. Chow, over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Liu. Good evening, everyone. Once again, my name is Raymond Chow, and I'm the Divisional Superintendent of St. John Ambulance Cadet Division 389C. We are based in Burnaby, located right next door to Vancouver. At this time, I would like to invite Mr. Ken Leggatt, CEO of St. John Ambulance, BC Yukon, to make some opening remarks.
Hello, thank you for the warm introduction. As was introduced, I'm Ken Leggatt, the interim CEO of St. John Ambulance BC Yukon, and it's been almost a month since our last meeting together with this team of people and wonderful brigade and cadets. And thank you, Mr. Richard Liu, for putting these speaking events together. They're a wonderful way for the cadets and brigade to meet together during COVID-19 when we're not able to meet in person. So we all look forward to the time when we'll be able to do that again, and hopefully with the vaccination programs that are rolling forward across Canada and the rest of the world, we'll see that day sooner rather than later. So we're all eagerly anticipating to hopefully resume life as close to normal as we can very shortly. 2021 is upon us. It's a new year, which is really exciting. And despite the COVID-19 limitations, there's a lot of exciting things that are underway. Just this month, we have some of the NHL games returning back to the arena in Vancouver, and we're going to have some of our first aid attendants there volunteering services this week and already have been, which is exciting that some of our MFRs are able to resume volunteer services at exciting opportunities like that. I get to see the game this coming Thursday with Leanne and a few other our teammates from the Provincial HQ, and so I won't rub it in too much, but we're excited to get out and about. So hopefully things continue to improve, just being able to enjoy each other. As far as the organization and the charity in British Columbia, we've got a lot of plans underway for this year. We've got very exciting fundraising opportunities that Jane and the team are working on. From a fundraising standpoint, there's exciting opportunities that are happening on the community services side, and a Provincial HQ team and operations staff are all working hard to sell our first aid training programs that will produce revenues and profits, ideally, to support our charitable services and our community services across British Columbia as our teams bring meaningful services to the communities across British Columbia. So I just wanted to welcome everybody tonight, say Happy New Year. It's great to have our first meeting again together, and I'm very much looking forward to Chief Elvis Silva's message to us tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Leggatt. Now I invite Commissioner Valentine to introduce our guest, Chief Elvis Silva. He'll be joining us all the way from Toronto. Commissioner Valentine, Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year, Mr. Chow, and thank you very much for that introduction. Good evening, everyone. And as we move forward in 2021, hopefully the worst is behind us. And as we look forward, things are going to improve to the point where we're back in the communities as we have been for so many years. Tonight, it's my pleasure to introduce a gentleman from Toronto who I've been following on LinkedIn for about a year now. And I've been amazed at some of the work that he has been doing in first aid world and with St. John. Chief Elvis Silva is a certified paramedic in Ontario through the Ministry of Health, and he works in a very busy EMS service as well as teaching at the hospital as a Paramedic Clinical Instructor. He's a certified Municipal Manager Level 2, and he is inspired to take his leadership in EMS one of these days. He's been with St. John Ambulance Toronto for 12 years, and he currently holds the rank the role and rank of unit chief of one of the most progressive MFR units in Toronto. In his spare time, he teaches general public first aid and CPR and to ensure the public has a strong understanding of management during an emergency situation. And this has been proven to be an asset in the classrooms. He has been the face of Toronto branch and medical first responders on social media, global news, and CTV news about hypothermia, heart attack, and CPR. And you can see a lot of his videos on his LinkedIn and Instagram page. And Mr. Lou will ensure that everybody has that link. He continues to advocate for medical first responders in St. John Ambulance. His priority is committing to a safer and healthier community. Chief Silva is a proven results-oriented leader. He's built a reputation and many relationships allied with agencies managing big-scale events such as the Canadian National Exhibition in Toronto, Pride Toronto, and recently the COVID-19 incident commander in a community outreach at the Yonge Street Mission, helping to provide MFR support for those in need during the pandemic. And contrary to whatever you have heard in Nashville, Elvis is now in the building. Chief Elvis Silva.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Valentine, for that lovely introduction. And thank you, all of you, for having me here. It's really, really great to see the many faces of the men and women of St. John Ambulance, from obviously our administrative offices, from our branches, all the way down to our cadets. This obviously includes our instructors who provide that first aid and CPR knowledge to our general public. And the amazing work that we all do as, from cadets to medical first responders to leadership. And I am very proud to wear this uniform. I have never forgotten where I came from. Obviously, as Commissioner Valentine has said, I started in the cadet division in Toronto. Unfortunately, my cadet time was quite short, as I was 17 and a half years of age back then, which was a very, very long time ago. And I've only got to spend a little time being a cadet, didn't really get to have the opportunities that all of you got or continue to get. But I was lucky to move into an adult division called Central 001, which is the current unit that I oversee as the leader. And I am so honored and proud to be a St. John Ambulance member because I believe in the work that we do. I believe in the vision of St. John Ambulance, and will always continue down the future and down the road, and hopefully when I retire soon from being a paramedic, continue our legacy and work in St. John Ambulance. So thank you so much once again for having me here. It's a great pleasure to meet people outside of Toronto and Ontario. It's great to see all of this. So obviously, I've been asked to share a couple of things about how my unit runs, and hopefully that will spread out to other units in Toronto and as well as other regions, et cetera, et cetera. The one thing I do want to share with you guys is the most important thing being a leader is transparency and leadership, especially in a unit, any type of unit where we have a lot of members. Recruitment retention is a very big thing that I believe in. And I believe in ensuring that every volunteer gets treated with the utmost respect, because as we treat them with respect, they stay, and the smiles of St. John Ambulance continues. And that's the biggest thing that I like to do as a leader. One of the things that we have done in Central One, and I refer to we because I may be the leader of my unit, but I have an amazing leadership team. And I think without my leadership team, I'm nothing as a leader. And I think, and this is, here's my Sergeant Keto Lamb, who's one of my duty coordinators. He's here to show me some support, which is great to see. And I think without a strong leadership team, there is no actual team. And so I will be referring to we most of the time because, again, a lot of the work that's done in Central is done as a team here. So I came back from a little bit of an extended leave to obviously start my career. I've been a paramedic obviously for about 12 years. And once I kind of established my education and got all my experience, I sat back and said to myself, if it wasn't for St. John Ambulance, where would I have been today? And thanking St. John Ambulance has made me the type of person that I am, not just as a human being, but as a patient care provider. You know, one of the experiences that I remember being a brigade member back in the days, in Toronto, we called it the brigade. And I think in BC, you guys still call it brigade. One of the experiences that I remember being a brigade member is doing first aid at an event. And I remember the feeling of not feeling the greatest when a paramedic arrived and giving that report and transferring care. And I kind of felt that little struggle as to why is there that feeling of insecurity when it came to providing first aid care and transferring care to a paramedic. And I swore to myself that I would never do that to anyone wearing any type of uniform, whether that is a brigade uniform, whether that is a police uniform or a firefighter, or just someone who's providing first aid care. Because we all know St. John Ambulance has been around for many, many years. And I learned my first standard first aid and CPR course when I was 16 years old. Something I've always wanted to do was to help the community and help try to save lives. So I came back about 3 years ago, back to Toronto, reestablished the obviously medical first responder, wanted to get back into the groove of things and started teaching first aid and CPR and joined back the unit that I temporarily left. And it was a unit that, you know, I'm more of an observer as a leader. I kind of sit back and observe things. And my mind is constantly rolling around to trying to find better ways to do things. Because I believe that, you know, as human nature, there's always better things to progressively be better. At the time we didn't have an actual unit chief. The unit was kind of lacking that guidance or mentorship. And I kind of stepped into the role as the acting deputy chief at the time, and worked with a really good leadership team to restructurize the way the unit is conducted and run. And I run it very operationally. Operationally, I run it very structured, ensuring that we have a proper chain of commands, having that open dialogue and transparency with one another. Rebuilding a strong leadership structure as well as a training structure. Training is what we do. So we had to do a little bit of a cleanup and kind of move things around. And we actually, one of the things I noticed being a leader is, at first I felt like I was micromanaging. And that was one thing I never like about any leader, is about micromanaging. I think a leader should lead and allow their team to do what they need to do. You have to have that interest with your actual team to do the work. And I do. And I kind of stepped back and said to myself, how can I ensure transparency, open communication with my actual members? There was a lot of emailing and stuff like that. It took a lot of time to ensure communication was the top key here. So one of the biggest things that we kind of looked at was, how do we ensure that we have all our information in one area per unit, so that there's the lesser of that emailing, but more of that transparency about how we run duties, how our structure works, how does all of our standard operating procedures go into one specific area. And so we decided to actually come up with a unit type of website. And it's a little mini website. And it's got a lot of information there. It's connected to all of our social medias. One of them is myself type of social media, but we also have a specific unit Twitter account as well as an Instagram account where we can post our pictures when we're doing training, and that we can post pictures when we're at these duties, at these major events, or even the smaller events, so that we do more of that public community services outreach. We wanted to get our name out there more. We wanted to show the community what more can we do. And it's not just about first aid, it's also about community services and helping those that are in need. And I think that is my big thing about St. John Ambulances. Yeah, we are first aid, we are medical first responders, but we can do more outside of that, and community outreach is so imperative. And during the COVID times, obviously we're all struggling with this, but as well as the opportunity of actually being able to start building relationships outside of just the medical first responder side, about going out into the community to those that are desperately needing help. So at Yonge Street Mission in Toronto is a non-for-profit organization that reached out to St. John Ambulance for assistance. And I decided to jump on that really quickly because I think, giving, charitable food, if that's actually the right word, like food to those that are in desperate need, that may have lost their job at this time. What else can we do for people besides just providing first aid care at events? And I think community services, in my eyes, is so imperative. And I think in all of our eyes, this is why we're wearing this uniform. So one of the biggest things that we decided to do was be more transparent, more open to the community. So we started this little website that I'm going to share with you. There'll be a few things that I will share, and there'll be a couple of other things I would not be able to share because there is private information in there. It is only shared within the actual specific unit. But I wanted to show you what we have been doing. This website actually has taken us almost a year to actually complete because it's obviously so much work, and I'm not very technical savvy, but I got to learn how to MacGyver some of this stuff in the website. So I hope you enjoy it. There is a few videos that I'd like to show you, as well as just how we MacGyver through our different types of things in the actual website. And please be, ask questions. That's what I'm here for. And I hope you enjoy this. So I'm going to try to share this. Perfect. Great. So this is our Community Services Toronto Central mini website. And as you can see, in this actual website, there are a few things on your left column. And we've decided to break it down into specific categories. So obviously the first one would be unit announcements. So if it's something like a major email that needs to go out to the actual unit that they need to have the information, for example, if our Toronto branch executive director sends out an email, then I would forward over that email to the actual unit. But if it's a very minor type of announcement, for example, hey, just a friendly reminder, we have training next week and this is what we're actually going to cover, it would actually go under our unit announcements. And when we go into our actual website, it goes directly into that little mini CS website, and it obviously, unfortunately, there's a little mug picture of myself as the leader of Central, and it's more of an introduction to anyone that comes onto our actual website. So I'll play the actual quick little message of me, and we'll see how this goes. Hi everyone, Elvis Silva here, Medical First Responder Chief for St. John Ambulance, Toronto Central. I want to take this opportunity to welcome you all to our new Medical First Responder mini website. Here you're going to find all the important information hope you take the time to go through it, and I hope you enjoy our new site. Thank you, everybody. So that would be an introduction for anyone that was coming onto our website to explain exactly what we're actually doing. So we've kind of broken down the actual, again, once on the left side, there would always be the unit announcements. I'm just gonna try to get, there we go. And this is where we're actually gonna place any type of information, whether it's coming from myself or our training officer or our duty officer. As you can see here, our final training date prior to breaking down or breaking up for the Christmas holiday was a subject of our final module for training, which we did module 22, which was considered to be head injuries and assessment. And it was more of like a type of information from our training officer, Conrad, who kind of gave everybody a reminder to review the content and the video at place that he has actually conducted. So we go further down, and obviously you see information from our duty officer, Keto Lamb, where, you know, we have an IRCC type of events that's happening, which is kind of going out and assisting the Windsor and Niagara St. John Ambulance with their actual events. And on the right side, you'll see some updated information from our actual Twitter or Instagram accounts that will have information about what we're doing. And I'm just going to kind of scroll up really quickly here. And you'll see on the right side, there is connection here to all of our social media in the unit, from either the YouTube, our Instagram, Twitter, and our Facebook page. And like I said, I'm very, very transparent in trying to get as much information about what we do in Toronto out into the community. And you'll see a picture, the second picture down below is our event that we did. That is one of my Sergeant Christine Blank, who is obviously present a lot at the Yonge Street Mission during the summertime, and that was the community outreach that we did. And there was an actual picture, multiple pictures taken. Unfortunately, we weren't able to take the clientele's types of pictures because of the PHIPAA. But a lot of that information there that I would obviously encourage you to look at our social media to see all the actual events that we did. One of the big things is obviously during the COVID-19, when we had to kind of shut down our branches and our training temporarily due to the government's restrictions. And once we kind of reopened back up, and being a first aid and CPR instructor myself, I wanted to make sure that, you know, we followed suit with what our branch was doing, informing the public that our branch is now open, and the safety precautions that we're taking, which I'm more than sure that's as well as your branch was doing the exact same thing. So that's kind of where we put in all our information about anything and anything that's coming from either myself or the other officers. There's a little bit of a introduction as well as a link, which is the chief message, which is myself, where I ensure that we tell everybody exactly what Central does. Because some of you may or may not know, but Central 001 in Toronto was the actual first Canadian nursing division in Toronto, established in 1912, which is an amazing history that I've learned as a brigade member at the time, and as well as now as the unit chief. You know, I think it's important to always recognize our history from back in the days. And as you can see, I'll give you a couple of seconds to kind of read the actual message that's there. Let's see if I can give you a little bit of space here to kind of read. It's a little bit long. But it kind of just, like I said, explains what Central is, what my key points of what I'd like to do with our units and moving forward, and how important our commitment is in our unit about transparency, and the type of engagement that we like to do across the diverse community that we actually serve. And what we aim to do as medical first responders, and that's obviously building sustainable, diverse, inclusivity type of networks, as well as partnerships with our allied agencies. So one of the biggest key things that I'm doing as a unit chief is going out and unfortunately because of COVID, it did have to stop, but to meet with the actual paramedic chief of Toronto Paramedic Services, Chief Peg, who's obviously a big incident commander in Toronto, but he's the fire chief of Toronto, as well as James Raymer, who's the Toronto Police Chief of Police. And I think it's important as St. John Ambulance that we have a very strong, committed working relationship with our allied agencies. And that was one thing that we probably lacked a little bit of. And I think we're building that communication back up again. And I think it's so important to do that as St. John Ambulance, is to ensure that our partnership with our allied agencies continue. So that's one side of the actual unit information. And then we move on to the actual next slide, which is our duty calendar. So I'm not sure about if cadets go out on duties in BC, but I know in Toronto, there are certain events that our cadets can come out on with an adult to be an observer, to actually kind of gain that experience. I think, you know, being cadets, it's the stepping stone of your development. And I think as medical first responders, I know with my guys and girls, they're always willing and open to coaching, mentoring, because these are the future of St. John Ambulance. This potentially could also be the future of our healthcare system. Some of us probably joined St. John Ambulance to either be a nurse or a doctor or a paramedic or a veterinarian or whatever the case is. And I think, you know, coming from the brigade side of the cadet, not very many months or years, but that is the stepping stone. And I think our cadets play a huge role in what St. John Ambulance does. So when it comes out to, you know, events in our unit, we, our duty coordinator has it quite structured very well. So if there is an actual duty that comes out, they'll get an email. Our members will get an email about the duty and the information, but our members can actually go directly onto the website and sign directly on that actual website. As you can see, it's a very empty calendar. But of course, that is because of COVID. We're not doing any events. But if there wasn't an actual event, they would actually just click on the actual event date, and it will have all the information there about the event, the contact, the client contact information, the date and time of arrival, how long the event is going to be. And it gives more of that information about the actual event itself. A lot of the guidelines that are obviously within our NOPS, or our National Operating Procedures policies, are in the actual guidelines. So every member obviously receives the NOPS and the administrative manual, but we live in a 2021 year where a lot of people like to be on their computers and have everything on an actual computer or website. So a lot of the information has been listed here about how to join the duties, how we're going to sign up with the duties, but the expectations about the duties, because although we are volunteers, you know, I believe in a strong commitment in the community by providing the utmost best customer service. So being in uniform, being in a clean uniform, what time to arrive. It's like any type of job. You arrive 15 minutes or 20 minutes prior to your shift so that you can find the contact, find the person that's responsible for the event, make that contact with our clients. It talks about how to cancel the event. So if you have to book off because of illness, etc., who to contact on the next line. There's always a person on call that can actually take the event. So for example, if it only requires 2 medical first responders, but we've had 3 people who want to sign up for the event, we'll put the 3rd person as an on-call for just in case. Our uniforms, obviously our parents are quite important out there. And about social media. So because I'm very big on the social media and trying to get us out there some more, members have been asked that if they can and when it's safe to do so, to take pictures, group photos of the work that we're doing. Obviously, you know, with no pictures of obviously clients or patients that we're actually dealing with, but just, you know, having a post picture of our ambulance or the actual event itself that we're at, so that we can actually get that communication out there into the community. So our next one is about our fleet duty calendar. Our regional branch fleet officer, Craig Morrison, he is temporarily on a leave of absence. He was hired by the OPP, and he's away right now at the police college. And he's obviously returning in the the late beginning of February, the beginning of March, end of February or beginning of March. And I've been asked to step into the interim regional position. So I'm wearing a lot of hats lately. So we're looking at, so I kind of stepped into Craig's role until he can come back, and he's asked me to restructurize the actual fleet. So here's one of the biggest things. We kind of treat it just like an actual duty. So for example, if we were going out and doing community service outreach, whether it would be at a school or if we're actually going to an actual event, we would have to book the actual mobile first aid post through the actual regional fleet officer. It's just like booking an actual date or an actual event. We would, let's say we were going to have to book an event on January 26th. So we would actually look at the actual calendar, and as you can see, it's a clear calendar once again. But if there was an actual event on the 26th that required an ambulance, then whoever was going to be the driver would have to book the actual mobile first aid post by clicking on the actual site and sending that information once it's booked over to our regional fleet officer. We needed to reestablish the standard operating procedures as well, because you know, we did have a few turnarounds with our fleet officers in the past, and we needed to restructurize and make these policies go into place. So you can see there right now, currently in Toronto, we only have 2 mobile ambulance first aid posts, 1101 and 1102. They were both donated by my paramedic services that I worked for, that I continue to work for. I recognized that we didn't have any mobile first aid posts, so I took the opportunity to reach out to my paramedic chief, who donated 2 ambulances over to Toronto, which was a great asset that we really needed in Toronto to get the face of St. John Ambulance out there. So we have 2 now mobile ambulances and 2 gators, as well as a community service command trailer, which is a brand new one that has come out. It's been structured into a patient care facility, as well as a dispatch center, and obviously a command post if and ever we require it due to a disaster. We have 4 bikes. 4 bikes where we have our bike team number 1 and our bike team number 2 if that is required at an event. They're all color coordinated, so if we needed bikes, we'd have to book the actual gray color part of it to have the actual bikes booked. We also obviously have a St. John Ambulance branded tent at certain events. These here are extra colors in case we did get more ambulances or more bikes, and that the plan was already put into place there, where we're able to actually add those additional mobile areas. And each of the units will have an explanation of what is in our ambulances. What is the command trailer? What's an actual use for? As well as we ensure that we actually had an MTO driver's license classification chart. So, so that people in our unit and other units as well had an understanding about what is required from them. And all that is required to drive the mobile pulse is a Class G license. But we do have an understanding that a lot of people have other higher licenses that they have that supersede the actual Class G. We've also, and then we all obviously have our Toronto branch fleet standard operating procedures and what is required from our drivers and the standards, including their driver's abstracts. Once they're when they are into the actual mobile post, they have to have actual steel-toe boots because they're working with stretchers, etc., etc. And then all our information on the right side in case there's a recovery issue. For example, if our truck were to break down, what are the following steps to take, and our towing companies, etc., etc. And then obviously any messages that we need to send to our fleet officer can be actually placed directly here into this section, and he would get a automatic text message as well as email to know about this information. So one of the biggest things we actually did with fleets when I stepped into the regional fleet is I recognize that it's not just a one-person job. It is a big position at the regional level, and one person cannot do the job on their own. So we developed an actual fleet maintenance team, which has just now been established in Toronto starting December 28th. It's actually still new. It's a pilot project, but it's proven to work quite well, where we look at reclassifying all our drivers, both older and newer drivers, and retrain them on the standard operating procedures. Because of the quick turnaround with the different regional officers, there was no actual consistency, and we didn't have any information about who was trained and not trained. So we re-established this fleet maintenance team, and now it's the responsibility of the fleet maintenance team to work closely with our regional fleet officer. And we have a schedule that goes out where we go twice a week. During this time, it is active. It's not an actual going out on the duty, but it's keeping our trucks moving along. Because we're not doing any events, to have those trucks sitting in the winter are detrimental and costly to the branch if they were to break down. So we decided to develop this actual fleet team to go out twice a week, turn on the trucks, clean off the snow, drive the trucks, refuel if necessary, do a full physical test on the actual trucks, and report any issues about the trucks. So if it's a minor issue, they're trained to fix it. If it's a major issue, then it gets notified to me and we get it dealt with right away so that it doesn't sit there and create even more of an issue. And then now we have to have money put into the actual truck and try to get it fixed, which again is very costly. So this fleet maintenance team keeps our trucks running and keeps our fleet moving. And it's working quite well, which is a really good thing to keep our members active when there isn't an actual duty. So I do want to show you two actual videos, if I may. One of them is about medical first responders and what is it that we do and how to join, as well as I do want to show you a PSA video that Toronto did about COVID. And we wanted to ensure that we included everybody, but we'll talk about that shortly. I'd like you to see this medical first responder video, and I hope you enjoy it.
Copy that. Team 4, patient contact 2007.
So this video was obviously produced by our Niagara region, who did an absolute amazing job with that actual video, and allows the public, as well as those who want to join St. John Ambulance, a little information about what we do, which is a great opportunity for the public, as well as those who want to join, get to see what we do. Our next video that has been posted in our social media was about the when COVID-19 first started. It was something that I really wanted to get done, to get all that information out to the actual public. We posted it everywhere. We posted it in our YouTube and our Twitter accounts, our Instagram accounts, et cetera, to get the information about COVID-19 and staying at home and being safe. I was able to get everyone involved. Unfortunately, at this time, we weren't able to get our cadets involved. They weren't able to do the actual video. But you know, my big thing is involving everyone. It's not just about medical first responders. It's about our therapy dog program. It is about our cadet and youth program. It's also about our first aid instructors, from our CEO to our executive director to our branch board. A lot of them stepped into this video to provide this information, which is actually really great to see all of us working together as a team during these difficult times. So I'll show you this video.
Hi, my name is Joanne, and this is Jack Daniels, JD to his friends. We're part of the St. John Ambulance Therapy Dog Program. Please do your part. Stay inside, stay safe, and stay well.
Hi, I'm Robin, Toronto Regional Radio Communications Officer. Let's stay home, let's stay safe, and COVID-19.
Hi, I'm Marie, First Aid Instructor with St. John Ambulance and Chief for Medical First Responder, 5 West Toronto Unit. Whichever hat is on, we all have a role to play. Stay home, be safe, practice good hand hygiene. Together, let's end COVID-19.
Hi, it's Rob Zeidler, Community Services Chair for St. John Ambulance Toronto. I want to thank all of our volunteers for the hard work and dedication that they put towards us and making us the great organization that we are. Stay home, stay safe, and for those of you who are first responders, thank you so much for all that you do. Take care.
Hi, I'm Christine and this is Daisy. We're members of the St. John Ambulance Toronto Therapy Dog Pack. We want everybody to do their part, stay inside, stay safe, and above all, wash your paws.
Hi, my name is Alan Chan, Branch MFR Officer for St. John Ambulance Toronto. Stay home, stay safe, and let's beat COVID-19 together. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Urka, and I'm the Executive Director for St. John Ambulance Toronto Branch. Stay home, stay safe, and we're all in this together.
Hi, my name is Blair, and this is Kalua from the St. John Ambulance Therapy Dog Program. Please do your part, stay inside, stay safe. Oh, and wash your hands.
Hi everyone, my name is Liam. I'm an MFR with St. John's Ambulance. Today I'm here to tell you to stay home, stay safe, wash your hands, and we're going to get through this all together. Good luck everybody.
Hi, my name is Ahadzadeh, Acting Deputy Chief of St. John Ambulance Central Toronto. We are here for you, so please stay at home for us. Thank you.
Hi everyone, Elvis Silva here, Medical First Responder Chief for St. John Ambulance Toronto Central. We care about our community. We want everyone to be safe and healthy. If you are sick, please stay home. Practice physical distancing. Wash your hands frequently, because we are all in this together. We are here for you, so please stay home for us. Do your part, and let's flatten the curve. Thank you. The last thing I'd like to show you is just the actual chain of command that we were actually speaking about. And then after that, I will give it back to all of you guys. So once again, obviously restructurizing is quite important so that we actually have information to our actual membership. What I've done is we've broken down into platoons. So as we have members join into our unit, we actually assign them to an actual platoon. We have our platoon A, platoon B, and platoon C. Some people will call it squads. Here in Central, we'll call it our platoons. And each platoon member has the chain structure. So instead of them coming directly to the unit chief with their questions, we treat it almost like an actual EMS structure where we kind of allow them to speak to the next step in leadership. So for example, if we look at platoon A, there's always a officer that is like the commander of that platoon. We have a sergeant, which would be considered a supervisor, and then a corporal, which would be somebody who is obviously learning to get into a sergeant role, so the succession planning. And each of those officers or commanders of the platoon will have an actual portfolio. For example, currently our Sergeant Keto Lamb, because he is 17 years old, he's actually technically our duty officer, but until he turns 18, he's in the sergeant role, while our actual current sergeant is in the acting officer position. Our acting officer does not have a portfolio because Keto is actual our sergeant, who does have the actual portfolio, and he's actually learning from Randy, who has been in the platoon officer position for the last 2 years. So he's being built up for that actual position. So it's all about a succession planning. So for one day, if obviously the chief resigns or steps into another role, there's the succession planning where I currently have a deputy chief, Sajid Ajmal, who's right here, who is the next person in line for the unit chief once the unit chief either resigns or moves up. So that's our chain of command. It's a little more structurized and allows that great communication with everybody in the actual unit itself. So thank you so much again, and I'm sorry for going over my time. A lot of people do say I talk a lot, but I hope you actually enjoyed some of that information, and I encourage you guys to always reach out, watch our videos, get into contact with us. You can always get into contact with me anytime if you have any questions. So thank you so much for giving me the opportunity for this.
Thank you, Chief Silva. That was a very informative presentation. I'm the Divisional Training Officer for Division 389 Cadet, Garfield Huang. I think we now have some questions by our cadets. I believe Corporal Yip has the first questions. Please go ahead, Corporal Yip.
Good evening, Chief Silva. My name is Corporal Anna Yip. So I would just like to ask, because I know earlier you said that as a cadet, there was always some uncertainty going to duties. After you left the brigade and joined the association, did you ever get the opportunity again to work with cadets? And if so, what was that feeling like, being on like the quote unquote other side of things?
To answer your question, it's a great question. I never really got the opportunity to get back into the groove of working with our cadets. I think I stepped into that medical first responder unit and kind of restructuring and regrowing that unit. For my foreseeable future, like I said, I think it's important to get everybody working together as a team, from the cadets, therapy dogs, right into medical first responders. And I think in the next future, hopefully quite soon, once we get back together, I'd like to start seeing some more work from our side. One of the big things that I did do, I do work closely with our cadet and youth coordinator from one of our units, who asked for a little bit of assistance from our medical first responders. So we actually worked together to develop a cadet youth ambassador. So a couple of my members in the medical first responder unit has now stepped into that role, where they're able to come out to the cadet units to help with your work that you do as cadets, which gives them an opportunity to see what the other side is. And because of the work that I'm doing, it's a lot of work. Now that I have a good structured team, I do definitely like to get back into the whole cadet situation and see what you guys do and work together as a unit chief, not specifically their specific unit chief, but I definitely would like to get more involved. So stay tuned. That is definitely next on my my chapter.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chief Silva. Thank you for informative talk. My question tonight is, coming out of the pandemic, what are some changes that you would like see to be implemented in the Canadian health system?
Thank you for the question. That is a very good question. What I like to see in our Canadian health system is obviously transparency, fast action when a pandemic does happen. As we see, current things were obviously quite slow in reaction. Unfortunately, a lot of people's lives were put at risk. I would like to see more of the communication from our governments, from our healthcare advisors, and quick action. I'd like to see more of a practical, more practicing. It's all about training, right? And I think our healthcare system, that may not have the actual funding, but they can do more of that pandemic training, because, you know, God forbid, there may be another pandemic that comes in the long-term future. We don't know. And I think as healthcare providers, we need to be on top of that. We need to be strong at our actions. We need to react quickly so that we can get any type of pandemic dealt with immediately, so lives don't continue to be at stake. So that's what I like to see in the future. And I like to see more of St. John Ambulance involved in that emergency response. I want to see more of our frontline paramedics be part of that response as well, because we all play that same part. And that is actually providing care for those that are in need. So thank you so much for the question.
Thanks again.
Hello, Chief Silva. I am Corporal Carmen Chen. I'd like to ask you, so as you are a certified paramedic working in very busy EMS services and a paramedic clinical instructor teaching at a hospital, how do you handle with all the workload?
It's very tough. I can say that. You know, being a paramedic is shift work, so it's not always on. It does allow me to have days off. A lot of people will say, well, those are my days off for rest. But I always look at it as that resting is when my time comes and the Lord takes me. That's my resting time. I have work to do, and I have to get my work done. It's what I'm here for. So teaching clinicals is very important because this is the future of our paramedics. And I have to give back. I have that sensation is that I have to give back to those who've given back to me. So my instructors, my trainers who put me in the position that I am in now, I need to give back. I need to train those paramedics for our futures, because one of the questions about, you know, how do we get our healthcare system up and running? It's the future. And teaching paramedics is very important to me because they are going to be the person who's going to treat me one day. So that's very important. Public first aid courses. That's another thing where on my days off, I'm teaching the public. Today I was actually teaching a 2-day standard first aid level C CPR. And, you know, I do that because the public is very imperative. They're important in an emergency situation. We all know that when a medical emergency or trauma emergency happens, it's seconds that count, it's minutes that go by. And it does take, obviously, paramedics anywhere between 4 to 10 minutes to respond in an emergency situation. So why not train the public to do something before those paramedics arrive? So yeah, and then there's the unit chief. So there's a lot of actual work that goes on. I get quite tired. I am exhausted sometimes. But I just keep moving forward, and I do take a lot of vacations in the summertime. So I do have, I'm not going anywhere, but I do have July and August, 2 months full off where I do take an annual leave from the road as a paramedic. I'll still teach a couple of first aid courses. As a clinical instructor, it's only twice a year for 3 months. It's not every single day. But I do my best, and I wake up, have my coffee, and I just head on to the next thing that I need to do.
Thank you, Chief Silva.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chief Silva. I'm Corporal Butler. I was just wondering how your time in St. John Ambulance has changed you as a person.
It has changed a lot of me. So like I said, St. John Ambulance made me who I am today. I do not forget anything that St. John Ambulance has taught me. It has made me a more confident person. I can tell you right now, moving in as a cadet, even if for just a month or two, I was an actual shy person. I didn't have a lot of friends. I didn't know what to do. I knew that I wanted to help people. And I heard about St. John Ambulance, took my first aid course as a public member, and heard about the brigade, joined the actual brigade, and St. John Ambulance taught me to be more confident, reach out and help people. It has developed my leadership skills. It has made me who I am today as a strong, confident individual. Who is all about leadership. It's all about coaching and mentoring. I was coached and mentored by amazing officers, amazing training officers, superintendents at the time. It was a great opportunity to build the individual that I am and the work that I do today, not just as a paramedic, but a human being. So it's definitely made me who I am today, 110%.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chief Silva. I'm Squad Leader Jen, and I would like to ask, as leader, was there ever a time where you had to keep your team motivated despite difficult circumstances?
It's an excellent question. And recently during the COVID-19, so obviously shutting down training, meeting in person was no longer happening. We obviously struggled for the first couple of months, shutting down and not being there in person to do our actual training, having that communication ongoing. It was quite of a struggle because we started to see numbers dropping. And I look at that as why. We know what the whys are, but how do we fix it? How do we motivate members to continue to stay on? So Zoom is really great because we get to see all the amazing friendly faces of St. John Ambulance in our unit. That was a one step. We developed a platoon meetings via Zoom. So it's not always just all 25 of us in the actual Zoom. Sometimes it can be overwhelming. We do that once every 3 months, just so that they can touch base with the unit chief and the deputy chief if they've got questions. We've developed an actual new type of training process. So we were doing a lot of online training, and some of you obviously are in school. Actually, majority of you are in school. And I know how hard it is to actually do just virtual online training. It's difficult and maybe boring sometimes. So what we've done in Central is we actually developed training kits. So our leadership team has developed some training kits where we have basically made up first aid kits. And we've delivered it to all our medical first responders. And our training officer, instead of just doing the online type of training, which is just reading a book here and there, doesn't really keep training going. A lot of us are tactical learners. We need to touch in order to learn. So getting these kits out there and actually doing training online virtually through Zoom, getting everybody to learn how to put on the PPE together, maybe doing CPR, whether it's on your teddy bear or a pillow, getting things about bandaging and splinting has actually gotten people back into the groove and that feeling of why they joined St. John Ambulance. Because being online is great, but it doesn't always effectively get people moving forward. So that is one thing that we were struggling, but we're now doing better. And we're going to continue to do this until it's time for us to come back.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, Chief Silva. My name is Corporal Jaylee Ma, and my question for you today is, what are the stressful and rewarding parts of being a paramedic?
So stressful. So being obviously a paramedic can be stressful. It can be hard on the paramedic at times, depending on obviously the calls. I think the most rewarding part about being a paramedic, actually, I'll go back to the stressful part. One of the big stressful things for me, because I can't speak for every paramedic out there, but one of the biggest stressful things for me being a paramedic is not knowing the outcome of our patients. So majority of the time, as you know, we're with the patient for maybe about 20 minutes, and then we transfer care to the hospital and the patient goes off into the bed. Now, the hospital that I am affiliated with, they're really, really good. They provide us that information and education about, and the doctors are really great. So we get to talk with some of the physicians and saying, hey, you know, this is what I kind of thought. What do you think? And most of the time, the doctor and the paramedic is on the same page. But depending on the hospital that we take a patient to, the biggest stressful part is not knowing what the outcome of that patient is. Did that patient survive? Did they end up going to the intensive care unit? Are they walking out? The only time we actually know anything is if they do live, if they do survive, and then we get notified, and there's this big social media thing happening, and that makes us feel really good knowing that we did everything we could and we did save a life. But we also need to remember the person who actually provided the first aid care. It's not just paramedic care. You know, I've done a lot of cardiac arrest patients who have survived. But if it wasn't for those first aiders who actually did CPR, who learned CPR and first aid, or who even didn't know CPR and the 911 operator taught them how to do CPR, all of that together is actually a rewarding thing for me to know that we saved a person's life together as that team. And it goes back to, if you remember, the chain of survival. When we talk about CPR, the early recognition, the early CPR, the early AED, that's all the first aiders. That's all our medical first responders. That is that first aider who play a huge part in that medical emergency. We, as paramedics, we come third. We come all the way at the bottom. We're going to deal with the patient. We're going to transport the patient. But as first aiders, play a huge role in that and continue to do that. I encourage everyone to keep doing that. And I think the most rewarding thing for me is knowing that I saved a person's life. And if I couldn't save their life, or if it wasn't a very serious emergency, did I make a change? Did I make something change in their life? Were they struggling mental health wise? Were they depressed? Were they suicidal? Were they just struggling in life? Could I make a difference in that person's life within that 20, 30 minutes? When I know I can put a smile on a patient's face and I put them into the right direction of that care, that to me is the most rewarding thing, is knowing that I've made a difference in that person's life.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Hello, Chief Silva. It's Corporal Yip again. I just wanted to ask, after hearing your presentation today and a quick look at your Instagram page, one key point I personally taken away is how you define effective leadership and how much you value it. And I wanted to ask, as well as I've seen your love for leadership quotes. So I wanted to ask what your favorite leadership quote is and what it means to you.
Thank you. That's a very difficult question because I do believe in leadership and I love leadership quotes. I read a lot of leadership books. You know, my long-term goal is, you know, leadership in emergency services. And I am up for promotion in emergency services. So, I mean, I want to take all that information that I've learned, everything that I've gained in St. John Ambulance, and take that into emergency services. I think the biggest thing that the biggest wording of leadership that I take and that I highly admire is I was raised to treat the janitor exactly the same as the CEO. So, which means regardless of the position that you hold, whichever rank you hold, whichever job you hold, you are a individual, you are a human being. You bleed like a human being, and you are to be treated as a human being. So regardless of the position that someone is in, we have to treat them with the utmost respect, whether they are the CEO or whether they are a caretaker. That is a human being, and that is the importance of leadership. And leadership is not about I got the rank and I get to wear the uniform and I'm in the position that I'm in. Those are all great. But without this uniform, when this uniform comes off, I am a human being. And every human being needs to be treated exactly the same. And a good leader does that, right? So one of the biggest things that I do as a leader, as well as a human being, I go to Tim Hortons and I look, or McDonald's, or wherever I go, and I look at the person's name tag, and I will identify that person by their name. So if I'm looking at Melody right now, that just popped up in my head right there. So Melody had a name tag. I'm going to look at her name tag and I'm going to say, good morning, Melody. How is your day going? And it takes people back. It's like, whoa. It's like, yeah, I'm identifying you as an individual who's serving me. And the word serving is not even a word that I like, because I think we're all human servants. I think we all serve a purpose. We all serve our community. And I make sure that when I come back to Tim Hortons or McDonald's and that individual's there, I'm going to remember that person's name. And that can change a person's life within 2 seconds, is just recognizing that person as a human being, regardless of the position that they're in. Because one day that person can be the CEO. That caretaker can one day be the chief of an emergency services. So we always treat everybody equally, respectfully, and that's why that quote always hits me. And because my mother was a caretaker, when an immigrant who came from Portugal, who her job, doesn't have the education, but she came to Canada to put food on the table and put her kids through school. And God rest her soul, she was a very sick lady, and she continued to work to put food on the table and to put her kids through school. And I remember one time her coming home and in tears. And I would say to her, why are you crying, Mom? And she said, because people treat me as if I'm garbage, because I am picking up garbage. But here's the thing. You may be picking up garbage, but that is who you are as a job. You are not that person. And I thank my mother for making me the person that I am today. And that's why that quote, I was raised to treat the caretaker as if as if I was treating the CEO. And, we have our caretakers in emergency services, and a lot of people just look at them as that. And I will stop and say, good morning, and identify them as their name, because that person, we don't know why that person is struggling, why that person is in that position, right? Maybe they don't have the opportunity, or maybe they're paying for education for themselves or for their children. So I'm a big believer. Please treat everybody exactly the same. It is so important, because we are the change out there. You guys are the change out there as cadets. That's why you are important out there in St. John Ambulance. So please continue to do that. So I hope that answered your question.
Thank you for your words.
Thank you, Chief Silva, for your thoughtful and informative answers. Is there anyone else who have questions for Chief Silva before we sum up? Chief Silva, do you have any closing remarks?
All I have to say is thank you so much for this. This is a great opportunity. Love meeting everybody out there. Continue the work that you do. It is absolutely amazing. Profi Day, that's what we do out there. So thank you so much for everything. And I hope to come out one day again, and I hope to do something similar like this in Toronto and get you guys invited to meet the rest of us in Toronto.
Chief Silva,
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry, I have a last question.
Yes.
For this question, everyone in our division take it very seriously. So I would like to ask you to answer this with your heart. Thank you very much. We'd like to know, what is your favorite ice cream? Do you ever have an ice cream in BC? If you did, what is your favorite? Thank you.
Thank you. So I've been to BC once, and I actually went to Banff. I'm assuming that is BC, right? I don't know very much outside of Ontario, but I was able to actually go to Banff, and it was an actually beautiful site. I like to see more of BC in Vancouver. So that's my next plan, is to come visit Vancouver, and hopefully once things are back to normal, maybe I can come and visit you guys. But I'll be very honest, I'm a plain person. I love chocolate ice cream. It is, I can eat a bucket of that. So that would be the ice cream I would choose.
Thank you, Chief Silva. And as a BC here, thank you very much to extend our boundary to include Banff in BC. Thank you. I hope our neighbor not get upset with it.
I know, it's definitely not, but it's still a beautiful area. I'm gonna come to Vancouver.
Thank you, Chief Silva. Mr. Liu, back over to you.
Thank you, Mr. Lowe. Great Q&A session. That was amazing. A big thank you to Chief Silva for his wonderful presentation all the way from Toronto, and for being our very first presentation of 2021. Let's give him a big round of applause here. That was incredible. Thank you so much, Chief. This year will be the 75th anniversary of Canada becoming a St. John Priory, and is the 110th anniversary for BC as a provincial St. John Council. So we are safely marking our double anniversary year with these unique virtual events. We're very delighted to announce our next presenter for February 22nd with Mr. Nahum Ip, our provincial chaplain for BC and Yukon, who is also a CISM consultant with our brigade CISM team and AMFR instructor. As Mr. Ip is a frontline paramedic with the BC Emergency Health Services during the pandemic, this will be another insightful presentation for all. This concludes our speaker series tonight. Thank you again for joining us this evening. Stay well and have a great week ahead, everyone. One St. John.